Rev up your engines. All right, people are always whining at me. I'm always talking about Toyotas. Well, here's a Honda Accord. It's a 2017, and the thing about it is, this was the first foreign nameplate to be the #1 seller in the United States. It was decades ago. The Toyota Camrys took over and went for 20-something years, but this was the original one. And back in the day, if you went back to that time of Japanese cars in the United States, I have to say, the Accords were actually better than the Camrys. The Camrys were kind of cheesy in the beginning, but then the Camrys got a little bit better. But this is a used vehicle. The guy bought a couple of years ago in coronavirus land, paid a little bit too much for it, but they can last 300,000-400,000 miles, and if it does, he's getting his money's worth. You can see, even though it's from New York State where I grew up, it's not all rusted. Honda did a pretty good job with rust preventative stuff on them. Now, the man who bought this car moved here from Jamaica, and he had a Volkswagen Polo. He bought it in Jamaica, and the first week he had it, the transmission went out on him, and he said, I'm never buying another German car. Smart man, right? So he picked a very good car. He'll probably get years and years out of it. Like I say, he paid 20-something for it with 98,000 miles. A little too much, but that was coronavirus. Everything went expensive. If it holds up like most of these that I've seen, he'll probably get more than his money's worth. Look under the hood. This is a Honda Earth Dreams engine. But, as you can see from the sticker, it's not the tiny little turbo one. It is a nice sized engine. As you can see here, it is a 2.4 liter engine, and it's non-turbo. The problem that Honda had was with a bunch of their 1.5 liter Earth Dreams that also were turbocharged. The oil would be diluted with gasoline, which is a bad thing. It ruins the engine. These engines don't have that problem at all. This engine doesn't have any problems. They can last a long time, which goes to show what I've been saying all along. If you want to get a good car, you're better getting one with a little bigger engine than a small engine with a turbo that on paper gets better gas mileage. If you drive hard, it'll get worse gas mileage, but this thing will run and run and run. Those 1.5 liter turbos, they don't last as long. You ask any engineer, he'll explain a turbocharged car is going to wear out a lot faster than a non-turbocharged car. So, those of you with lead feet, hey, do whatever you want, but you want something to last. You'll see when we take it for a road test. This 2.4 liters got plenty of guts to it. It's not like it's some kind of a dog. This thing, as it stands, doesn't burn any oil. Now, it is a CVT transmission, and that's the only thing the owner's not really super happy about, because it does lose the tremendous acceleration that one of these 2.4 liter Honda engines makes. You can make race cars out of these engines if you want, and you lose kind of some of that zoom because of the CVT. It's not like they break. These aren't horrible Nissan Jatco CVTs. Honda manufactures their own, and they do a pretty good job, and it allows this relatively fast vehicle to get 30 miles a gallon on a highway when you're driving. So, you know, you can't complain about that. It's a good combination of speed versus gas mileage. It's just getting from 0 to 60 just feels weird to me. I like regular geared transmissions, a manual if possible, but most of them don't even make them anymore. The actual automatic transmissions, I'm a bigger fan of them, but it's not like they break. My advice to anybody who's buying one of these is this: road test one. Now, you got two possibilities. Well, actually three. One would be you can't stand the way it accelerates and you're not going to buy it. Two could be there's a problem with the CVT, in which case you're not going to buy it and you walk away. And three would be you don't mind how it goes and accelerates, in which case you buy it. I've had people go all three ways. So road test one if you're serious about it. It's not like they're going to break down, but I'll tell you one thing, on the other hand, if you compare this to a Toyota CVT that has the first launch gear, actual launch gear, then it shifts to the CVT, and you like acceleration, you'll jump on a Toyota and say, Honda needs to do that. So, road test it before you buy. Just don't say, Scotty says don't buy these. No, they can be great cars. But see if it fits your driving lifestyle. Some people don't care at all. Some people, it's a big deal. The only thing he's done is change oil. It's a typical Honda. Hondas can run forever. They can just run and run and run. Now, as we look inside, he's got all this stuff. Look, he's got my book in here too. The seats have held up quite well. He's put his own steering wheel cover on. You can do whatever you want, you know. Gives you more comfort. There's no arguing that. It's got a nice screen that's set up. It's not like those ugly new Toyotas where the screen blocks everything. It's built into the car. Got a sunroof, lots of room in the back seat, and although I don't like it, it has a push button start, and since I don't have the key, it won't start. All right, here we go. Now it should start right up. But it's old enough. It's got a real parking brake. I like the real parking brakes. He's got it in an eco mode. He wants to get better gas mileage. You can play with the modes. That's the economy mode. Traction control you can turn on and off. Hey, it's a pretty sophisticated vehicle. Everything works, the AC, the heat. Now, it does have 112,029 miles, which is kind of just broken in for one of these. So we'll get my big fancy computer out. It's already detected it. Standalone diagnosis. It knows the VIN USA Accord 2017, okay. Full topology scan, so here we go. And while we're doing it, we'll just kind of take a look around. Faux leather, still in pretty good shape. The dash is in excellent shape. He takes care of his car. He even has little trees, black ice and wild cherry. It's a strange combination. I said it's got a push button ignition. I'm not a fan, but all cars are going that way. At least it still has a mechanical parking brake. Now, this was a used vehicle purchased in New York State, so it doesn't surprise me it's got a bunch of codes, because the salt kind of messes with the electronics on these things. We'll see if any of it is serious or not. Stop, work our way down. With the recirculation motor, they often act odds, but he's had no complaints. It's blown cold enough, so we won't worry about that. Power seat, power motor, thinks there's a problem with that. Like I said, you'll often get weird codes on stuff you don't really care about. When they get this old, the electronics can be squirrely. Well, it's not even detecting that now, so. Power window code said that there was an overpowered on the passenger side. A lot of times people have long fingernails. They'll pull on the window too much when it's coming up, and that does an over voltage, trips the code, so we'll erase that too. Graded driver support system. It has crazy code too, saying the vehicle speed system was acting up. Dust on the camera. It can't see. All kinds of dirt and dust problems. So we'll erase those too. If you keep your car dirty, you're going to trip codes. So now, these aren't codes that turn your check engine light on and you can't get the car inspected. They're just codes telling you the speed control system isn't going to work correctly. The intelligent speed control will not work because the cameras are dirty. So you got to keep a clean car these days if you want everything to work. Multiplex integrated control unit has a code. More squirrely stuff. We erase that. The electronic power steering says it saw a problem at some point in time. So even a dirt on the centrals give you a code for your electric power steering. So there's a lot of craziness with modern cars. You can hear the bell listening now. You're going to see that it's erasing the code. They're all good now. So now we'll do live data. So we'll go to the engine computer system, start her up, then go to live data. Well, got some interesting data out here. So far, everything looks normal. Now, the air fuel lamp is perfect. Oh, it's off. 0.99 instead of 1. It is almost perfect, even with 100,000 miles. It's wavering right around 1, which is perfect. There's transmission data. He hasn't had any problem with the transmission, even though it is a CVT transmission. This fire 0, all the cylinders, 1 through 4, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, this is a GDI fuel injection system. It allows this little engine to put up 185 horsepower. Decent horsepower. I don't like the transmission. You lose some of that horsepower when you accelerate, but be that as it may, it's a very high pressure system, so you need machines like this to analyze them, because you can't just hook up a pressure gauge on these things. You'll get leaks, start fires. They're very complex systems with very high pressure, so you need a machine like this in order to analyze when there's a problem. There isn't one now, but if there ever is, you wish you had a machine like this to figure out what's going wrong. Keep going down. There's tons of data on these things, and everything's fine, so let's take it for a spin. See, his backup camera has broken. It's giving you the area that you're supposed to drive in, but there's no picture of what's going on. So you can change the views, it says, but none of the views work. I'm assuming there's a fault in the system itself. First thing I noticed is this baby's smooth. It's idling like a dream. I'm going to take it slow, though. They're relatively low to the ground. I've got this giant water hump up here that they put so the water doesn't flood my neighbor and instead goes down there into the ocean. So it went over quite fine. And here we go over some of the worst roads in Rhode Island. We'll see how it rides. Actually, it still rides quite smooth. Even though the thing is 7 years old, it's still original struts and everything on it. And we'll turn a left on the highway if we get any room. See what it's like today. Today it's more crowded than the other day. Nobody's coming there. So here we go. Now you can hear the engine revving. it has good acceleration, even with the CVT. But if it didn't have the CVT, it would have phenomenal acceleration. This is a Honda 2.4 liter engine. They're pretty strong engines, and they can last a long time and also have power. You hear the noise it's making, it actually loses quite a bit of the power of the CVT. So, like I said, if you're thinking about buying one of these, what you want to do is realize they can last a long time, but you got to see whether you like driving them or not. Some people, they don't like them. Now, this big engine, it's not too bad. I've been in Hondas with the 1.5 CVTs, and they're dogs. They don't get out of their own way. This has got big enough engine, and it's still got, but it loses a lot of what this engine could put out. But here's the weird thing. When I put the turn signal on, the camera works for the right side, so you can see what's on the right side. So the backup camera, as you can see, it doesn't work anymore, but the side camera works, so it's definitely something squirrely in the system. He bought it used. Yeah, he paid a little bit too much, but this thing might go 300,000-400,000 miles. If it does, he's going to get his money's worth. I just have to accentuate the point, though. If you're thinking about getting one of these, you want to road test it, because you might be totally happy with the acceleration it has, and then voila, it's not like the CVT train is going to fall apart. But if you're a serious driver, you're going to think, why didn't they do like Toyota did and put a launch gear in that thing, so then it could take off in a real gear like mad and then go to the CVT after, which is actually a much better design. Sure, Toyota's the one who invented it, but still a great car for riding around in. She doesn't care because it runs good and it's a nice looking car. So they were the first foreign car in the United States, Honda Accord, to be the best seller. Then the Camrys took over for 20-something years in a row. But there's still a lot of goodness left in these Honda Accords. And if you're looking for one, my advice is get an older one like this, because it doesn't have a turbo in it. You don't want to buy one with a turbo if you want long life. And truthfully, better gas mileage. The turbos are rated higher, but as soon as you step on the gas, they rev up, the turbo kicks in, and your gas mileage goes right down the toilet. The gas mileage ratings are made on dynamometers. If you really want one that's going to last, you're better off with an older one. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.